Hey guys, we're just going to give everyone a second to log in and then we'll get started. Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from today. Thanks for signing in. Today's webinar is co-hosted by the New York Oracle User Group and Oracle partner Viscosity North America. And today's webinar is from our Oracle Level Up series featuring product managers from the Oracle Enterprise and Cloud Observability and Management team. This is a live webinar, so feel free to submit questions in the Q&A field, not the chat field, but the Q&A field, and our speaker will get to you as soon as they can. We've actually got a whole team from this product management team, and they're going to be here to answer your questions. So please take advantage of that. Just as you think of your questions, put them in. You've got a whole hour of their time, so definitely take advantage of it. Today's presentation is recorded, so you'll get to review the recording at NYOUG.org once we get it uploaded there. My name is Monica. I'm the marketing director here at Viscosity, a full Oracle stack consulting firm. And I'll tell you a little bit about us after Coleman from NYOUG tells us a little bit about their organization.
Thank you, Monica. So the New York Oracle User Group, we established over 40 years ago for the ideas, assistance, and support among users of Oracle software products. Next slide, please. You can reach us and connect with us on X, which formerly was Twitter, Meetup, LinkedIn, Facebook, and of course our website, nyoug.org. And I wish to thank Viscosity for co-hosting these series of webinars, been going on past 3 years and continues to go on. And I just want to say that those that want to become a member, membership is free. You don't have to be from the New York area. So thank you for joining us on this series of webinars. And let me turn it back to Monica.
Thank you so much, Coleman. It's been awesome partnering with you all these years on this webinar series and partnership. So like I said, my name is Monica and I work for Viscosity. We are a full Oracle stack consulting firm with core expertise in Oracle database, including RAC, Oracle Apex. We perform near zero downtime migrations. We do a lot of performance tuning projects, high availability, you name it. We've also had decades of experience with infrastructure, including engineered systems. Lately, we have been preparing our customers for 23C, upgrading anyone who hasn't been upgraded to at least 19C. And we host monthly workshops through orapub.com, and we continue to host free webinars like this today with partners like NYOUG. On this slide, you're just going to see the 3 main pillars that Viscosity is built upon. Sorry, my emails are somewhere in the background, but data, apps, and cloud, and also Oracle infrastructure. Anything you see across the bottom, we offer to either of these 3 tiers. And if you see anything on these screens that you need help with, you have any pain points with, or you just need some best practices shared with your team, let me know. I'm happy to help you out and sync you with somebody from my team. Speaking of my team, this slide just shows some of our folks who are consultants, writers, presenters, you name it, within our executive management and consulting team. They are on the Oracle ACE program as Oracle ACEs of different levels. If you haven't seen them speak or you haven't checked out their blogs or their books, definitely recommend it. And yeah, hopefully you'll see them at a regional or national user group conference sometime this year. All right, on this slide, I'll just point out one thing. Oracle License Management partners like Viscosity, I should say Oracle partners like Viscosity are always great to turn to for help when you are purchasing or renewing a new Oracle product. So I always recommend to people to work through a partner for this. You can go direct for most products, but it's nice to have that third party recommendation, or, we can just review things to see what you're currently using, make sure that you're getting the most out of your investment, and we can also follow up with you and make sure you are compliant and up to date with everything. Okay, right here, a couple books from us. We've got a ton of books from our consulting team, but our most recent ones, which normally get updated around Oracle Cloud World, are these two right here, Oracle Database Performance Tuning and Upgrading Oracle Databases. These will be reflecting 23C by the fall, so check that out. And also Oracle on Docker by Oracle ace Sean Scott. I think he's working on another book right now too, but definitely check this out. We've got a couple webinars as well that he presents to us. And then orapub.com is basically our training site, training site, as well as where we just house all of our free webinars, all the recordings, the slide decks. Every time we show up at a conference, we also put slide decks up there from those conferences. So great free tools there. There are paid tiers, paid memberships through there, but I recommend at least signing up for all the free resources. Okay. And we've got one new thing to share with you on Orapub. We have our Oracle Performance AI partner, I guess, or new viscosity team member. His name is Shane. You can call him Surfer Shane if you'd like, but he is there on Orapub where you can actually ask Shane any questions about Oracle performance issues you may have, or just generic questions. And he has actually got access to all of our white papers, our books, our webinars, viscosity specific webinars. And he'll help you as best you can. So even free members can take advantage of Shane. I think you get like 2 free questions. I can't remember how often. I don't know if that's a week or month, but paid members get to use him a lot more. And he's about to go through a major aesthetic update. So more information on that to come. But for now, Shane 1.0 is on orapub.com, and 2.0 should be out by the end of this summer. So stay tuned for that. And I think with that, I'm going to turn it over from Steve from Oracle. He's going to introduce today's session and our speaker of the day.
Well, thank you, Monica. And we actually have some real experts here with us today, joining us from Oracle's product management team. So you can certainly ask your questions during today's webinar and at the end using the Q&A panel, and we encourage you to do that. In addition to our speaker, Murtaza, we've got JB and Derek behind the scenes for all of your questions in this area. And before we get started, just a quick background. This is an area that's probably underserved because every DBA, including myself, has always had to do capacity planning. And in a traditional sense, that usually involves spreadsheets and guessing, and adding the number 20% to last year's budget. It's something DBAs didn't really want to do, but business needed them to do it monthly or quarterly, or at least annually. Now, with the advent of the cloud, things have gotten a lot more complicated, especially with databases existing in a variety of many different environments, including our own engineered systems. And so this is a pretty exciting topic, but underserved. And the team has done a wonderful job publishing some articles about this, and I'll provide those while our speaker is presenting. And those who hang out at the end, there's actually an opportunity to try out this particular service for free. So I'll provide that link as we wrap up today's session. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this all over to Murtaza to get you into the world of cloud and how that technology can help you with these challenges and more.
Thank you very much, Steve, for the lovely introduction. Hi, folks. My name is Murtaza Husain. I'm part of product management team within Observability Management Group. And I'm today accompanied by a few folks, subject matter experts from our product management team. We have JB, John, we have Derek, and we also have Steve from product management team, who will be here to field any questions you may have in the Q&A. Okay. So today, the topic of discussion is OCI Operations Insights Service. We'll be kind of touching upon, what is Operations Insights Service. We'll talk about a little bit about our platform, which is Observability Management. And from there on, we'll kind of double click on some of the new features which we have released in the recent past as part of the service. Right. Okay. Hope I am loud and clear in terms of you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can certainly hear you fine, Murtaza. And just again, for some folks who may not be familiar with the terminology of observability, it is something that has happened in this era of cloud. And so again, if you're a database professional and not been familiar, it is a certain area of interest that's growing, especially within the DevOps community. So we already even had a question, Murtaza, and I'm searching down a link because we do have a certification exam for observability in this area.
Yes, we do, and a lot of people are already taking it within Oracle internally and also externally. So yes, there is a very comprehensive certification program across all the services, which covers observability management. Okay, so let's get going. We have roughly about for 50 minutes. Yeah, so let's quickly. Okay, so today we will start with a short overview of the service itself and then lead into the new features of OCI Operations Insights Service. This is kind of like I wanted to kind of give you a level playing field in order to understand, what observability management is, right? So within the aspect of Oracle. So observability starts with the basic cloud services like compute, storage, networking, security, and control plane telemetry. And from that, we have built a set of foundational services which help accelerate and protect cloud-native app development. We have developed a service connector hub, so services can observe, manage, and integrate with other Oracle services, as well as with open standard-based and third-party services. And on top of that foundation, we have continued to add advanced services, which you can see on the top, such as logging analytics, database and OS management, APM, which is application performance management, and then OCI Operation Insights, which includes capacity planning, SQL Insights, and many other out-of-the-box applications and features, right? Okay, so today we'll be focusing on the rightmost on the top, which is capacity planning and SQL Insights, and many other features within Operation Insights service. Now, before we deep dive into Operations Insights service related features, I wanted to kind of spend some time on what this service entails at a high level, right? So essentially, OCI Operations Insights enables business executives, database, and IT administrators to make informed, data-driven database resource and performance management decisions, right? It is an OCI native, cloud-native service, which allows users to store up to 25 months of worth of operational telemetry data and provides 360 degrees insights into database and host resource utilization and capacity planning and performance management analysis. Operation Insights expands on IT operation analytics to provide insights across data center assets, embrace machine learning-based and data-driven capacity planning and proactive performance management by ingesting data from different systems in the IT enterprise. We can ingest data from on-prem, cloud, and EM-based targets, and then process them real-time data as well as historical data using out-of-the-box applications and purpose-built warehouses based on data lake architecture.
Murtaza, real quickly on this, I think this is something that is, a little marketing oriented, but the important thing here is the cloud really brought something forward in terms of a service people can utilize without having to try to do it themselves. For years, people have tried to build, big data lakes and warehouses to take all their performance information, their capacity information, crunch the numbers. And it's not that this hadn't been tried, it's just that most companies could not afford that type of investment and the capital equipment and the time. And DBAs are busy people as well as the rest of the business. And so this was an excellent opportunity to use the power of the cloud, as they say, to essentially make that capability available in a subscription model.
Exactly. And Steve, as you added, I just want to kind of quickly, what we have done is we have built this cloud-based repository for tenant, right? So it's all self-managed. DBAs or anyone who's trying to basically extract the value out of this service, they don't have to manage that, right? All they have to do is to point the right agents and the telemetry to get ingested into these cloud-based repositories, and then they can utilize and do analytics using machine learning models on top of that, right? So that's the beauty of Operations Insights. It's all given to you out of the box. Okay. So now let's look at some of the solution areas that allows to do effective capacity planning and SQL performance tuning, right? So in order to do capacity planning for databases and hosts, we can use capacity planning app, which allows you to trend and forecast resource requirements. In terms of SQL performance tuning, SQL Insights application allows you to get insights into the SQL performance at a fleet database of your choice, or even at single SQL ID level. Also, ADDM Spotlight application allows administrators with making strategic decisions on curated ADDM-based findings and recommendations. Now, if you have Exadata systems in your data center, be it on-premise or in cloud, you can get deep into the resources and also how effectively you can do database consolidation by looking at the various Exadata metrics and performance capacity planning on databases and hosts that are running on those Exadata systems using AutoML-based forecasting models. Lastly, in terms of analytic warehouses over here, OCI allows variety of data that comes into Operations Insights. You can have AWR data, and you can create a hub out of it called as AWR Hub. You can ingest all the enterprise manager data into Operations Insights, thereby creating a warehouse of enterprise manager, which is called the EM warehouse. You can also ingest a variety of data pertaining to Exadata infrastructure, host metrics, storage metrics, and DB layer metrics, so that you can do a warehouse for your Exadata from analytics and operations point of view. Lastly, this data lake scenario can also be used for custom analytics, where one can make use of their own queries, custom build apps to provide any kind of custom analytics for it. All right. So let's kind of click on some of the new features that we wanted to kind of cover today in this webinar. So the first one is ADDM Spotlight. So what is ADDM Spotlight? So ADDM Spotlight is a newly added feature which provides expert tactical advice into aggregate ADDM automated database diagnostic monitor hourly runs over time. The advice is broken down into findings and recommendations aggregated over a long period, which enables DBAs and system administrators to assess the systematic impact of implementing ADDM recommendations over all the workloads serviced by the database, right? So administrators can weigh the total benefits of big changes against the cost or risk of implementation and make better performance management decisions. Add-on Spotlight includes the following key features. It provides summary timeline showing where the findings and recommendations are. This is how it kind of looks from the UI perspective. You're looking at the findings tab, right? We have recommendation tabs, and also tells about the database parameters, what are set currently for your particular database of your choice, right? It also provides finding and recommendation tabs organized by category and allow them to be sorted on their aggregate impact or benefit. Database parameters tab allows to filter and drill down to initialization parameters critical for database performance.
Murtaza?
Okay. Yes.
We may have some folks that are newer to this performance area. And so, in the past, certainly senior DBAs in the user community knew that automatic database diagnostics manager essentially was something built in, instrumented in the Oracle database. In fact, the Oracle database is the most instrumented database in the industry. And often, DBAs would utilize something like Enterprise Manager, the diagnostics and tuning pack, to then access, its findings and insights. But that also prevented a few of our customers from using that technology. But now as we go to the cloud services, there is no concept of packs. And so pretty much every DBA can take advantage now of what ADDM is collecting and doing in the database. And it's so much easier than ever before. And I just wanted to mention that because we have some folks that may be newer to ADDM, not as familiar with it.
Yeah, that's totally correct. And the other thing is like the beauty of as OCI is like it's a tenant-based data store, right? So you're basically aggregating these ADDM runs, the 1 hour ADDM runs over time, right, into an OCI data store. And then you basically gleaning the insights in terms of the findings and recommendations on top of that. So that's what the value add is, which Operation Insights is bringing on top of these series of ADDM runs, which Oracle database is accustomed to.
And how long can you keep that ADDM data for now?
So we can store data up to 25 months, right? That's pretty much the top level limit in terms of Operation Insights. You can store as much as you want up to that limit.
Well, that's certainly more than the 30 days most DBAs work with today.
Yeah. And there's a timeline filter, right? So you can, depending on how much data you have, you can select your time range and do your analysis based on that time range. Okay. Next is SQL Insights. This is another out-of-the-box application. It's also a newly released application within Operation Insights that performs pattern recognition-based analysis for enterprise workload optimization. You can utilize SQL Insights to identify patterns in SQL response time and execution plans using a curated set of long-term SQL statistics collected periodically. The SQL Insights user experience is delivered as part of 3 interrelated dashboards that presents pre-computed insights into fleet-wide SQL performance data. These dashboards help quickly identify and performance impact of SQL execution plan changes, cursor sharing issues, and new SQL introduced in applications. The data visualized in dashboards further enables exploration and verification of the insights. All right, a DBA or an application developer, for that sake, may be responsible for many applications, executing thousands of SQL statements across numerous databases. SQL Insights proactively finds problem SQL and identifies tuning opportunities in large database deployments, right? So we have 3 sets of dashboards interlinked together intuitively. Typically, users start from a fleet database and they do an in-context drill down to a DB level fleet dashboard and then to a SQL, depending on the SQL of their choice or they want to investigate.
The other thing, Murtaza, I like to call this SQL Unleashed, because again, if I reflect back to DBAs using Enterprise Manager, often the DBAs had access to Enterprise Manager, not necessarily developers. And usually it's developers who are writing most of the SQL. Now, again, because of the ability as a cloud service, now developers have an easier way to now be observing the SQL that they're executing. In fact, we have put the S on what they call melts, metrics, events, traces, logs, and SQL.
Traces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is the S.
The S on melts.
Yes. All right. Okay. So just double click on each of the individual dashboards we get as part of this SQL Insights application. Now, what you're seeing on the right-hand side, this is the database fleet analysis dashboard, which presents an inventory of enabled databases and a global tree map view of SQL across all databases, as well as top databases by insights and SQL performance measures. Essentially, it helps identify databases in the fleet in need of workload optimization by showcasing top databases by insights, fleet-wide workload decomposition by command type. Okay. We also have a database analysis dashboard, which is focused on a single database, which presents insights and from a performance summary for all SQL statements collected from that database over time, right? It includes SQL activity over time, broken down by command type and module, parsing and invalidations, top SQL by other important performance measures. Insights include aggregate impact of plan changes, degrading SQL, knee SQL, and cursor invalidation storms. All in all, it kind of helps aggregate SQL anomalies and characterize SQL workloads at the database level by showcasing widespread cursor invalidations events, workload decomposition by command type, module, NPL SQL, and cumulative impact of plan changes and cursor sharing issues. Lastly, as part of this 3 series dashboard, we have what we call the SQL analysis dashboard. This one presents detailed insights and historical performance data for a given SQL per database, right? So performance measures include average latency, total database time, parsing activity, IO, and more. Insights include the detection of gradual performance degradation, plan changes impact, cursor shading issues, and variable performance. In terms of what it identifies, it helps users with plan changes affecting average latency. It also helps with cursor sharing issues by providing the necessary insights. Okay. Seems like we have some questions in the chat, which Steve is taking care of, I guess. Okay.
So if I was to kind of sum up, the SQL analysis capabilities, I see some things certainly folks do with scripts, Murtaza. But again, as you mentioned, this is where they're able to take and collect the data and full data over longer periods of time. And it's automated for them. Because in my case, my manager would come and something was happening performance-wise, and I would then be on the spot to essentially figure out where and why. And the longer it took me, the more angry people got in the business. And so the faster I could do it and essentially say, hey, here is where the issue is, and here is what the root cause is, that would kind of make me the hero, or at least get the spotlight off my back.
Yeah. So Steve, as you said, right, it's actionable insights and data, right? What you're getting. So what you see is it's gleaned for the user to come in and have a focused discussion in terms of what they're looking at from a fleet perspective or a database or a SQL, individual SQL, right? So they don't have to spend time stifling through the data and trying to find the necessary insight, what they're looking for. So by using this data, they can take the next action in terms of fine-tuning their SQL, looking at other underlying details behind that, right? So it's very actionable in that sense.
Great.
Okay. All right. I think we are okay on time. Yes. So next one is the highlight feature of Operations Insights, which is capacity planning. And with capacity planning, we have added now AutoML based forecasting, right? So let's kind of touch upon what capacity planning is, right? So as Steve was talking about earlier, right, this is something which has been used by DBAs, other IT administrator and folks, capacity planning folks within organizations, and they have done this very manually, right? So what we heard from customers is that they're using a lot of offline scripts to kind of extract the data, create these offline repositories, and build some of these tools, homegrown tools on top of that to do the capacity planning, right? A lot of people, we have heard that, in the past, they have been using, or in fact, now also have been using Excel-based models to do the capacity planning after they ingest data into those Excel models, right? So what we have done is we have built this like really encompassing capacity planning tool, which is out-of-box application for the users. This provides infrastructure level insights into the capacity usage across CPU, storage, memory, and I/O. And we do that at different levels, right? We do that at a database level, we do that at host level, and we also do that at the Exadata system level. And whether your Exadatas are running on-prem, cloud, or any other flavor of Exadata system, right? So what you see on the right-hand side is kind of like the landing page of database capacity planning app. If time permits, I will quickly kind of run through it. I'll demo this, towards the end of the webinar, if there is time. What you see is the Glean insights, what you provide to the user in terms of the databases that are employed, right? So right now you're in the capacity planning app, you're looking at the database angle from a capacity perspective, and you're looking at whatever the databases are enabled. You also look at the aggregate view of the CPU usage and how much is the capacity and how much you have used over time. You can also look at it, similar kind of insights from a storage perspective, memory, and I/O. Down below, you have CPU insights, right? And you have storage insights, memory, and I/O. The other two are not shown over here due to the limitation of the screen, but I can show that in the demo, right? So what you see over here is we are providing, from a utilization perspective, over the last 30 days, what are some of your outliers from a utilization perspective for CPU? So what it shows you, you have 5 databases, which are kind of like highly utilized. Similarly, you have 15 databases, which are lowly utilized, right? You have some of the databases which you can filter down by top consumers, by CPU perspective. Let's say, what are the top consumer databases per average active CPU? You can also look at what is your aggregate CPU usage trend over time for the last 30 days. Similar kind of insights you can get across storage, memory, and I/O using this. And all this is, again, you can store up to 25 months worth of data. You can slice and dice this information by different measures, with different time measures. You can use tagging capabilities, compartments, which are some of the OCI cloud concepts, which you can utilize in order to kind of delve into this data. Okay. Next on. Yeah, so some of the questions that the capacity planning app kind of helps the DBAs or other IT administrator is that, do I have adequate compute storage resources to accommodate forecasted growth in my CPU storage usage, right? It helps you look at trend and forecasted aggregate of CPU, memory, storage, and utilization for all specific groups of databases, right? It lets you trend and forecast aggregated storage utilization for all specific group databases. Helps with trending and forecasting of CPU utilization for specific database of interest, right? It lets you estimate the opportunity cost of resource utilization for highly variable CPU demand, right? And identify candidates for other usage, right, in terms of downsizing or maybe increasing potential CPU capacity for certain databases. So what you see on the right-hand side is another view, what we call the insights view. On the top, you have the whole inventory of databases, and we provide pertinent, important metadata pertaining to the databases, right? So you look at compartment, the type of databases, the usage, the average active CPU usage, allocation, utilization, and all those necessary information pertaining to your databases. Down below, you have what we call a trend and forecast view, where you look at the historical data, and then you can use our built-in forecasting models. We have linear model, we have a seasonality aware model, and then the newly added AutoML forecasting model, right? So these models, depending on the nature of the data, inherent historical data, you can use either of these models to accurately do your forecast across your CPU, storage, memory, and I/O metrics. Right.
Murtaza,
yes.
I think it's really good to reflect here. And as we made the introduction, we talked about kind of the changing landscape of where people have their databases deployed. And
Right.
the past methods that were used for traditional databases on premise very often were rule-based type decisions, or they were just trending type decisions. In the world of cloud, changing workload is so dynamic. And again, early adopters of cloud were kind of trying to apply the principles from the past, which really ended up wasting resources, creating high cloud bills. I mean, the list goes on. But here is where, AI-based machine learning really is applied to help with that complexity and that variability that just humanly, a DBA could probably never get their hands around.
Yeah, totally, right. So in fact, people are, as more and more people are kind of moving their workloads to cloud, they're also becoming very cost conscious, right? So these tools, this kind of fits into the whole category of what we call FinOps, right? Of financial operations, which is kind of like becoming the growing domain within the world of cloud, right? Where people are becoming more cost conscious about their bills, and they want to see they optimize their resources as much as possible in terms of whatever they're spending on, right? They're spending on CPU, they're spending on storage, so they want to optimize that using these kind of tools as much as possible.
And there's another area, especially now prevalent in Europe, about carbon offset. So again, when you're forecasting the appropriate capacity and you're reducing your loads in your data center and you're offsetting carbon, again, those are large, business initiatives that, people in IT, DBAs, and everyone is struggling how to, address those. And again, this helps do that.
Exactly. All right. So with that, I just want to quickly cover this one. There's another view which you provide as part of capacity planning, which is called the aggregate, or we also call that a tree map, heat map, whatever you want to say that. It's essentially what you're looking at is a high-level fleet view with very important insights along the lines of the usage, right, and utilization of the databases across CPU, storage, memory, and I/O metrics, right? So basically, the size of the box kind of tells you, whatever the usage is from a CPU perspective, and the color kind of tells you what the utilization is over time, right? So in this case, if you look at the dark green one, those ones are highly utilized. So very quickly, the user can come into his deployed enabled databases on Operation Insights service, and they can glean and see, which one of interest they want to kind of focus on and see what is happening from underlying infrastructure perspective, right? You can do the forecasting and trend again, similar way. At the bottom, you can see that. You can do it across the fleet of databases, or you can divide this data by different groupings we provide. If you have Exadata system, you can do it by VM cluster. You can look at it by host. If you're dealing with multi-tenant database, you can look at it by CDBs and PDBs within the CDB, right? You can break it down by that. And similarly, you can do the forecasting using our proven built-in forecasting models. All right. So this is one of the new features which we have added as part of capacity planning app, which is capacity planning with AutoML. So what it does is it's basically allows advanced time series modeling and forecasting capabilities of the OCI AutoML service. So Operation Insights allows users to select AutoML forecast option that auto selects the best fit model from the numerous advanced models to provide more accurate forecasts for periodic workloads and complex seasonality spikes. For example, you're looking at end of quarter, day of the week seasonality, multiple seasonalities. This model kind of helps in kind of fine tuning those kind of historical data and doing forecasting on top of that, right? Operation Insights AutoML forecast is available across databases, hosts, and Exadata resources. So you can do this for capacity planning app, and you can also utilize this for Exadata Insights, right? What it does under the hood is AutoML forecasting leverages Oracle Data Science AutoML service, which employs meta learning to quickly identify the most relevant features and models and hyperparameters for a given training data set. There are essentially 8 forecasting models that are considered, and the best fit for each time series is used to generate forecasts. Models and forecasts are automatically and periodically retrained using up to 13 months worth of historical data.
The other thing that stands out here, Murtaza, is not only are there multiple forecast models to try, is that this is a subscription-based service, about every 6 to 8 weeks, there is new capabilities and new support made available. And I mentioned that only because in the past, a lot of the rule-based kind of technology and methods, if something changed, then typically, someone on site had to go through and upgrade something, and that was a whole type of, activity that involved a lot of work, and people couldn't take downtime, and so you couldn't take advantage. Versus now the era of cloud, you log in and now the new capability is there, available to use.
Yeah, it's fully cloud native, very agile in nature in terms of the features we're getting every now and then as part of the service. And it's basically a subscription-based service. So you're getting the best of everything in a self-managed service. You don't have to deal with any underlying infrastructure in order to run the service. That's the beauty of it. Okay.
Murtaza, can I just say a few things about
Sure.
the chart we're looking at here? Because some
Sure.
of the points about capacity planning are kind of evident here. So, why do we show like the max and the average, right? Well, typically you have to plan for your maximum demand, especially CPU, right? If your application wants 8 cores worth of CPU and you only give it 4 cores, you're only doing half the work you could be doing, right? And so that's a problem. So typically capacity planning concerns itself with max usage, and that's the red line, right? The green line is your average usage, and your average is really what you're actually using. In other words, you're having to pay for the red line, but the value you're getting is the green line. And so the difference between the red line and the green line is what I like to call the opportunity cost of volatility in your workload. Now, in this particular example, go back.
Okay. I think we're trying to cover that. Yeah.
Yeah, in this example, you can see they've actually had to increase CPU. That light blue line is actually the CPU line that is topping above the red, right? But the green is basically where it's always been, right? So you're getting as much value out of the CPU in terms of your average utilization represents how much of the CPU you're using. If your workload was very, very stable, your average and your max would be the same, and it would be very easy to assign a capacity. You would just give it that number, right? But so it's a real example here of how volatility, you can see how the max line all of a sudden gets very volatile and very much even higher above the green line, right? So, that's I just wanted to point that out. The AutoML is really about, doing forecasting for like your King Kong database, where you have the all-important database and you really need to have accurate forecasts. Once you start aggregating databases together, things tend to smooth out and wash out, and linear forecasting is probably almost as good as the AutoML. But anyway, I won't say any more about that. But this business about what you pay for and how much value you get is really what the red line and the green line are about. Anyway.
No, I think
Yeah,
I think that's worth
thanks.
mentioning. Murtaza and JB is, again, the traditional approaches in the past that people use for their databases. Now they have capabilities where they can keep, a closer eye on things and help manage those costs. Because again, we've seen people move their databases to the cloud, and the next thing, they get some big bill and they're trying to, wonder why. And somebody thinks, oh, it's just the cloud's expensive. Well, not necessarily the case. Somebody's not necessarily managing their database workloads appropriately.
Exactly. Yeah, thanks for adding that, JB and Steve. Yeah. Okay. Let's kind of move on. All right, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. This is what we have. Exadata Insights is essentially similar to what we have for capacity planning at the database and host level. What you're looking at is an Exadata Insights application on the right-hand side. It provides a similar kind of view of what we see on the database capacity planning app. But over here, you're looking at the Exadata rack level, right? So you see the number of inventory that has been enabled, And you see the aggregate view of CPU, Exadata storage, memory, and I/O across your Exadata systems that have been enabled on Operation Insights service. Down below, you have a nice view of the systems itself. It kind of gives you a quick view into the size of the Exadata system by rack, the metrics that are currently being utilized, and what the forecast is telling you in terms of any problem statements across your underlying infrastructure metrics. Okay. Just to quickly highlight, as I mentioned before, we do support different flavors of Exadata systems for Exadata Insights application, which includes ExaCS. The new name is ExaDBD. We have ExaCC, and then Exadata on-premise too. Okay. This is another view of what Exadata Insights entails. Over here, what we see is a tangible view of the Exadata rack, and you're focusing on one rack in this case, right? And you're looking at the key metrics for that particular rack, and from a current utilization and the forecast perspective, right? You can also drill down for metrics by database, by host, and the Exadata storage that are running on that Exadata rack, right? And then look at some of the other underlying infrastructure metrics across CPU, storage, memory, and I/O for that particular Exadata rack. Of course, all the underlying capabilities in terms of the forecasting, what we talk about by looking at the average utilization, the max utilization, using some of the latest machine learning models are all available as part of Exadata Insights application. Okay. All right. With this, we will pivot into this new feature we have added, which is Policy Advisor. So Policy Advisor is a service-guided policy setup that allows you to quickly establish OCI permissions on resources that allow them to be enabled for Operations Insight service. In other words, Policy Advisor is a centralized location where you can view, create, update, and delete policies required for the service for Operation Insights, right? With Policy Advisor, you can grant and modify the necessary policies for specific telemetry type and resource types that need to be analyzed with Operations Insights from your environment, both for the user group, which will be performing this action, and for the service itself, right? So Policy Advisor automates creating the following policies, for example, right? Policies needed by the user of Operation Insights, both from administrator and read-only users perspective. Policies needed by Operation Insights service to function it properly, and then policies to set up demo mode optionally if you want to utilize that. All right, with this, we will get into our last feature we want to cover, which is a very interesting new feature, which is called News Report. So News Report, similar to a Good Morning Report, is a weekly notable insights report sent via email that can be enabled across your resources, such as databases, hosts, and Exadata system in Operation Insights service. The News Report provides new highs, big changes, and inventory tally across your enabled resources, right? News Report can help managers, IT managers, by providing key insights across your offsite enabled resources fleets for a selected duration via email, right? And this is how the email looks, right? This is what you're looking at is a News Report from a capacity planning angle across your enabled resources within Operations Insights service. Right, the News Report feature simplifies the following DevOps use cases, right? For example, it quickly identifies resources that have 90-day utilization high on a weekly basis. Keeps an eye on big movers, right? For example, usage bytes across your fleet. Takes note of inventory changes across your offsite enabled fleets. More recently, we have also added SQL Insight-related news reports that is coming as part of this feature. So users will be able to select from a series of, I believe, 4 different types of SQL Insights news report that they can enable on a weekly basis and get that as part of the email. Okay.
Yeah, part of the logic of the news reports is that, not everybody wants to interact with a clicky UI and stuff. And so we're really partly targeting personas that may not actively engage with the application, but still need to know at a high level what's going on. And so we want to produce this sort of, heads up what's happening kind of email that doesn't oblige you to interact with the UI, but points out in a very focused way things you might actually want to look into using the UI, right? So there's a lot of hyperlinks. The idea is that higher level users and personas can engage without using the UI, and others will basically be engaging the UI in very focused and productive ways because they already know there's something to look at and figure out or deal with, right? So anyway, that's all I wanted to say about it.
Yeah,
Well, there's
exactly.
other use cases as well, JB and Murtaza. Again, being a former DBA, I always had to be monitoring what storage was being utilized and having to explain, that to my management, and especially when, we were running out of space and we thought we needed to go acquire yet another, storage rack or add disk. And I would have to literally, come up with a report like this somehow manually to get management to pay attention. And so, this is, here's the people using the most stuff, and here's the proof of it. Oh my gosh, my life would have been so much easier.
Exactly. And the other thing is like the bigger thing is like you're also trying to basically plan for the week ahead, right? So as a IT administrator or a CTO or any other executive within the organization, right? If you get this report on a Monday morning, you know exactly what you need to focus on, for the coming week. So this is something which you can very quickly glean through and take actionable things, right? So these hyperlinks, which you can see on the news report, kind of leads you into the UI, and you can, kind of debug all the necessary information in the UI itself if need be.
Or the make sure your weekend isn't interrupted report.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The S hit the fan report.
Yes. All right. With this, I believe we have covered most of the new features we wanted to cover and the important ones within Operations Insights service. I wanted to quickly just glean through some of the supported deployments and the pricing we have as part of the service. So this is kind of like looking at it, right? We on the left-hand side, we have all the categories, the main categories or the features of the service, right, itself, which we covered today. Capacity planning, SQL warehouse, SQL Insights, actually, that's the new one. Exadata Insights, and other, which includes ADDM Spotlight, and then we have the warehouses. And on the top, you can see the different flavors of databases that we cannot cover across these different categories or features, right? So as you can see, we have a very healthy support across most of the databases, right? We have, if you look at from an enterprise manager perspective, we have support for pretty much everything. Similarly, for Max agent-based support, that's also very healthy. And then for cloud databases, which is a virtual machine-based or bare metal-based or even XSCS, the support is there pretty much for most of the important features. All right.
I think another takeaway
yes.
from that, Murtaza, is again, as people digest this, is there's so many ways now to deploy Oracle databases, and different ones have different methods in terms of their collection. Obviously, things like Autonomous Database do a lot of stuff itself, whereas the traditional databases of the past have one that have had the most needs. So for a DBA themselves to kind of figure this out is kind of difficult. So it's kind of nice to see that there is capability across all the different deployment models for the Oracle database.
Yeah, and in terms of deployment, right, for different databases, we support a variety of things, right? So people can use our cloud-based management agent to kind of pull the telemetry data into Operations Insights data store. They can also use Enterprise Manager. They have Enterprise Manager. They can use the existing Enterprise Manager deployments and the EM agents to pull the data into OCI data store, right? And for some of the cloud resources, what we have another technology, which is a cloud-based technology, which is called private endpoints. They can utilize that to ingest data, telemetry data, and operational data into OCI data store to utilize all these applications that we talked about today. Okay. Quickly on the pricing, this is some of the features that we have covered. On the top, you can see. These are the SKUs we have in terms of for Operation Insights. They're kind of broken down by the flavor of the database. So for each type of database, let's say you have cloud-based databases, you have to utilize the top SKU. It is priced at 1.5 cents per OCPU per hour, right? And it kind of gives you details in terms of what we support as part of this SKU, right? Similarly, for external on-prem databases and hosts, we have a separate SKU. And then for databases, we kind of partition that SKU into two categories. There is a basic category, which is free of charge. And then for full, we do charge that a minimal amount to kind of utilize some of the advanced features, such as a SQL Explorer and some other features that are becoming as part of the autonomous database support, right? Okay. The next one is the warehouse pricing. So we didn't cover much on this, but we as we talked about in the solution areas early on, right? We have warehouses as part of Operation Insight Service. We have 3 warehouses, AWR Hub, EM Warehouse, and Exadata Warehouse. And in order to deploy and enable the warehouses as part of Operation Insight Service, we have to utilize some of these SKUs, right? And there is different pricing on the SKUs, and those have to be kind of be enabled and be used in order to use these warehouses.
And Murtaza, it's good to note is, as this will probably be a replay, it's always best to go to oracle.com for the very latest pricing, or just check with your Oracle representative since things are subject to change.
Yeah, exactly. You can reach out to us. There is also public-facing documents. There is, we'll talk about later, but there's what we call Oracle OCI cost estimator tool that is available publicly for users. They can always log in. Observability management, including Operation Insight Services there with all the SKUs. You can literally go there, make some few clicks, and you can come up with your BOM, your monthly BOM cost, right? And kind of see, you know, what your bill will look based on your footprint. Okay. With that, this is probably the last slide. There's some important links we have added over here in terms of what you can explore on your free time, leisure time. Looking at Operation Insight Service, you can also utilize our hands-on lab, which is available as part of Live Labs. Over there, you can either sign up using your tenancy, or you can use the Live Labs to kind of use demo mode, which is available as part of Operation Insights, where you can test drive pretty much all the necessary features which we talked about within Operation Insights.
And I just put that link into the chat, Murtaza. Again, yes. The Live Labs workshop is a wonderful way to try out the Oracle technology that the team continues to share. We find a few people still are not aware of it. And there's over 800 workshops now that customers can try out Oracle technology and even kind of train themselves and other peers on their own premise. Sure.
Yeah, thanks. And then besides that, what we call the videos we have created. There's a lot of interesting video across observability management services, including Operational Insights. There's how-to videos, there's overview videos about the service. We have written a whole series of blogs on this service itself. I would say at least 45 plus blogs have been published. You can use this link to kind of view those blogs, which covers most of the features we talked about today. And then we have the technical documentation docs, right, that you can use using this technical content link and utilize that. Okay. So with that, pretty much done. Don't know if you have any unanswered questions or.
No, it looks like the team's been doing a great job. We've had some wonderful questions on Operations Insights from a variety of different kind of angles. Again, we appreciate the folks behind the scenes like JB and Derek helping with answering the Q&A. So this is your last opportunity before our subject experts wrap up this seminar. Okay, at this point, I want to thank you, Murtaza, again for the update on Operations Insight, and again for the New York Oracle User Group for having us today. We'll go ahead and hand it back over to you, Coleman, to close out.
Thanks very much, Steve, and thank Monica. She'll be joining us shortly for this series of webinars we've been co-hosting. And of course, I do want to thank Oracle for providing us their resources for these series of webinars with them as well. Monica?
Yes, thank you guys so much. If any of you come up with any questions after this webinar, you can just shoot them our way with our follow-up emails. We can also put you in touch with Steve and the team. So, yep, you always have us as a resource as well. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for giving us an hour of your expertise and your time. We so appreciate it. I think we've got multiple webinars coming up with other team members of yours. So everyone, if you enjoyed this webinar, please check out at NYOUG.org or events.viscosityna.com what the upcoming webinars are and make sure you register. So with that, thank you guys again. Look for the recording at NYOUG.org and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Cheers.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care.